Martin!
Mandy!
Oh my gosh, do you want to hear the funniest joke my daughter told me?
Yes, okay, I'm ready.
What did the left eye say to the right eye?
Left eye to the right eye. I don't know, what?
Something between us smells.
I love it, that's good.
Alright, so here we are coming at you live.
With our pre-recorded lesson.
We are so sad that we don't get to do this with you guys in our classroom. I'm just going to show you quickly what we're dealing with. It definitely makes us sad that we can't interact with you, but we're going to get started with today's lesson. So, Martin.
So, the past couple days, you guys have been doing an awesome job reading a couple different articles relating to Bigfoot. Because as we're reading our novel Lemons, this is going to be a common topic that comes up. So, eventually you guys are going to be doing a project that involves you taking a stance on your beliefs on Bigfoot. With that said, before we even get into that, you have to know how to do that, like how to persuade a reader to kind of jump on ship with what you're thinking. With that,
Well, wait. Do you think Bigfoot's real?
Yes. I feel like he's out there.
Me too.
He's out there.
All right, continue.
Oh, okay. Now I'm thinking about Bigfoot. So your goals for this mini lesson is that you are going to be able to say that you can identify the different types of persuasive techniques, and there are 4 that we're going to talk about. So your job is to be able to say you can confidently identify those 4 types.
All right, so what are persuasive techniques? So basically, persuasive techniques are going to be ways that we are trying to get someone to do, believe, or buy something. So I'm sure a lot of you use some of these persuasive techniques with your parents. If you're trying to have a sleepover with your friend, you're trying to persuade them to say yes in that case. So persuasive techniques are writing techniques that are used to sway a reader or listener to agree with the writer. There are 4 most common techniques that we're going to focus on with our project and in this lesson. So the 4 most common, we have statistics, we have bandwagon, we have generalizations, and a rhetorical question, which we're going to go through more deeply in the next few slides.
And as we're going through these a little bit more deeply, keep in mind that you're watching a video, so even if you feel we're going a little quickly, you can always hit that pause button just to kind of review the slides on your own time too.
And we'll also put these specific slides right into Google Classroom, so if you need to go in and go back, you'll have that availability.
Which is kind of a bonus because you don't get to do that in normal class. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is the statistics, and this is the one that you're probably the most familiar with just because this is a word that we commonly hear. Anytime you're trying to persuade somebody using statistics, you're going to need that numerical evidence or that factual information. With it, it's going to be numbers that have been collected and presented in order to strengthen an argument or convince one. So a lot of times if you're arguing with somebody and you bring in facts and you bring in statistics, it's usually pretty much a done deal because you have evidence to support your beliefs and your opinions on whatever you're trying to sway the reader. This example here, it's talking about how businesses purchase things online. So it's telling us that people buy, or executives purchase business products online, and that's a full 88% here. And then it's comparing it to only 49% intend to buy the product, but then they end up buying a competing product just because it's easier purchasing. So this just kind of goes back and forth with how to purchase items and how it looks when you intertwine those statistics there.
All right, the next one is bandwagon. So bandwagon is when you basically are trying to get someone on board with what you're doing. So you might be using different scenarios like, well, all of my friends are doing it. So that's getting on the bandwagon. So commonly known as peer pressure, which I just went over, and then convincing someone to agree with an idea just because others are doing it, okay? So the example ad that I have up here, it says, Australia, you've made the switch. Over 1 million Australians have already tried Oral-B toothpaste. So right here, if we were from Australia, good day, mate, they would be wanting us to believe that we should switch to Oral-B because most Australians are doing it. So again, they want you to get on the bandwagon or feel peer pressured to try Oral-B toothpaste.
Next we have generalizations. And with generalizations, it's going to be an assumption made that agrees with an argument being made. And when we say generalizations or assumptions, it's usually when we're drawing a conclusion about somebody without any facts or knowledge about anything. A lot of times we make assumptions about people every single day. So this is kind of intertwining that together. It's also assuming that because a few or some agree that all, or at least the majority, feel the same way. So this is an example of a generalization, and it's kind of more a humorous example. So it's a picture of a dog, and it says, he's kind of thinking, and it says, all cats have 4 legs, which we know to be true. And then the dog is thinking, well, I have 4 legs, therefore I must be a cat. So he's making that generalization that because cats have the 4 legs, well, we can assume that he's a cat because he also has 4 legs, which would be the same thing true if this were a bear or another 4-legged animal.
Right. So our last technique that we're going to be covering today is rhetorical question. So a rhetorical question is a question that is asked purely for its effect. It may not have an answer, or the answer may not be obvious. And then the last point that I wanted to go over, it says the asker is not looking for an answer. They want people to be thinking about the answer in order to strengthen their argument. So in this ad, it has a pair of Nike tennis shoes, and then it says, so now what's your excuse? So for me, I'm looking at this ad, I'm thinking of that question, and I'm thinking, ooh, I don't really have an excuse. I should be running, or I should be working out. And so they are posing this question to get us thinking a little bit more about the topic, and in this case, with the running shoes, about being athletic or running.
All right, so now we're going to look at a couple examples, and then we're going to decide which technique is being used. Again, if you need to pause, this would be a good time to pause and just think about it for a second. So our first one is going to say, we've got a picture of a chart here, and then it says, do you trust ads on Facebook enough to use your credit card? Because we always see those popping up on any social media. So if it's giving us data and it's giving us actual number evidence, what do you think this one is going to be? If you guess statistics, you are correct.
Our next example, we have Taylor Swift, and she is pouring a Diet Coke, so she is recommending a specific product. So what type of persuasion technique is being used in this ad? All right, if you guessed bandwagon, you would be correct. So clearly they're using a famous person to endorse a product, and so we typically look up to famous people, and in this case Taylor Swift. So if we were liking Taylor Swift, we might want to try Diet Coke now because of her.
And jump on the bandwagon of what everyone else is thinking.
Yep.
All right, number 3. This is a picture of, it's like a bus stop, and on the side there's an advertisement, and it says, if TV's so bad for you, why is there one in every hospital room? If you guessed that this is a rhetorical question, you're correct. And I know that rhetorical question is a very large, scary word, but again, it's asking us a question that it doesn't want an answer to. It's just making us think. It's making us think about, oh yeah,
That is a good point.
why are there TVs in every hospital room, kind of thing. Good. All right, last one.
All right, the last one, we have a box of Honey Nut Cheerios, and then the slogan says, try America's favorite cereal. So what example of persuasion is being used in this one? Generalization. So right now they generalize that the favorite cereal of Americans would be Cheerios, and there's no factual data with this, so they're just generalizing information.
Awesome! Give yourself a pat on the back because you just completed your first practice with persuasive devices. Coming up with the next couple days, you're going to see a lot more practice with this. But for now, awesome! You can check that box.
See ya!